We spend a ton of time focusing on learning strategies, right? But what if we took a step back and focused on the machine that's actually doing the learning, the brain itself? Today, we're going to talk about how to train, feed, and really optimize your mind for peak performance.
Okay, let's just dive right in with this one powerful idea. I want you to picture a professional athlete. They don't just show up and practice their sport, right? No way. They meticulously manage their diet, their workouts, their recovery, the whole shebang. So, what if we applied that exact same discipline to our most important organ?
And make no mistake about it, your brain is a professional athlete. It's a high-performance, super high-demand machine. So to really understand how to train it, we first need to check out its specs.
Okay, get this. It's surprisingly tiny. Your brain only makes up about 3% of your total body weight. Seems kind of insignificant, doesn't it? Well, just hang on a second. Because that little 3% of you, it consumes a massive 20% of all the energy your body produces. It's an incredibly greedy organ, which, as you can imagine, means it's also incredibly picky about the fuel it gets.
And this really just nails the point, doesn't it? The quality of the fuel you put in has a direct impact on the quality of your mental output. So yeah, the very first part of our training plan has to be nutrition.
All right, let's talk about the specific kinds of food that fuel our cognitive athlete, especially when you're facing something demanding, like a big exam, or trying to learn something totally new. So when it comes to brain food, it really helps to think in two crucial categories. First, you've got your constructors. Think of these as the bricks and mortar that physically build and repair the brain. And then you've got your accelerators, which speed up the communication inside it. You absolutely need both to perform at your best. Okay, so let's start with constructors. Just imagine these as the construction crew for your brain. They're providing the raw materials that support its physical structure and, this is the cool part, they even help in the birth and regeneration of new neurons.
And this is where we get to bust a huge, old myth. We used to believe that our neuron count was totally fixed from birth. But the amazing fact is, that is not true. New neurons are actually born every single day. It's a process called neurogenesis, and eating the right foods can seriously support this.
So, what are these amazing constructor foods? Well, here's a simple trick. Think dark colors. Berries are fantastic, so are plums. And yes, you're reading that right, dark chocolate is on the list. And of course, dark leafy veggies like spinach and broccoli are incredibly powerful for building a stronger brain.
Now for our second category, the accelerators. Look, if constructors build the roads in your brain, accelerators are the ones managing the traffic flow. It's all about speed and efficiency. Think of your neurons having these little doors between them. Well, accelerators help make those doors way more flexible, which lets information to zip from one neuron to the next much, much faster.
These accelerator foods are super rich in omega-3 fatty acids. We're talking about fish like wild salmon, mackerel, and sardines. And hey, if fish isn't your thing, walnuts are another excellent source to help you speed up your thinking.
Okay, we've covered the fuel. Now for the actual training session. Just like any athlete, your brain needs a really good workout, and that comes from physical movement.
Now, while pretty much any movement that gets your blood pumping is good, the research shows that one activity really stands out from the pack. It turns out running is one of the single best workouts you can possibly do for your brain, especially for your frontal lobe.
So, why running? What makes it such a powerhouse for the brain? Well, it happens in this kind of cool three-step process. First, it boosts critical oxygen and blood flow, which is great. Second, and this is key, it forces you to be alert. You have to scan your environment, right? So your brain stays active. It's not on autopilot. And that leads to the final step, activation. All of that scanning directly fires up your frontal lobe, which is the command center for planning and learning. You are literally training your brain to focus. So we have our fuel and we have our training. But every top athlete on the planet knows that the real gains, they're made during recovery. And for your brain, that means we have to get serious about sleep.
It is so easy to think of sleep as just lost time, a waste. But we have to reframe that. Sleep is an incredibly active and absolutely essential phase for learning and memory. It's when your brain gets its most important work done. See, during sleep, your brain has two critical jobs to do. First, it gets busy organizing all the information you took in during the day, consolidating it into your long-term memory. Let me put it simply. If you don't sleep well, you won't remember well, period. And second, it's when your body and brain perform critical maintenance, kind of like a cleanup crew, clearing out waste and repairing damage from the day. So what's the magic number for this all-important recovery? Well, for anyone up to about age 25, the science is crystal clear.
8 to 9 hours a night. And this isn't a luxury, and it's definitely not a sign of weakness. It's the non-negotiable time your brain requires to lock in everything you've learned.
So, we've gone through the science behind fueling, training, and recovering your brain. Now let's pull it all together into a simple plan you can actually use.
Here it is, your daily regimen for being a cognitive athlete. First, fuel your brain with those dark-colored constructors and omega-3-rich accelerators. Second, train your mind by moving your body, especially with something like running. And finally, recover by prioritizing a solid 8 to 9 hours of sleep.
Look, you don't have to perfect all 3 of these things overnight. Seriously, just improving one of these areas can have a massive impact. So I want you to take a second and think about your own routine right now. Which of these pillars, fuel, training, or recovery, are you going to start with?